Hi children, good morning. Welcome to class. Today I am going to continue about this methods of separation. Yesterday we were discussed in the previous days hand picking method, sieving method, next to what we call decantation or sedimentation methods we were discussed in the previous class. Today we are going to know about crystallization and distillation. Isn't it? These two methods we are going to discuss. Children, let's see crystallization, to separate salt from salt water. For suppose if you have salt or sugar water mixed, is it possible to separate of this one salt or sugar in the mixture of the water? Already we were discussed about soluble and insoluble of the materials. Some material can soluble in the water and some of the materials cannot be soluble in the water. We call them as insoluble saturated things, isn't it? So the same thing applicable here also. Crystallization. So this crystallization is nothing but to separate salt from salt water. See children, when we see salt is mixed with water, isn't it? Or sugar is mixed with water, is it possible to sand is mixed with water? It's not at all possible, isn't it? So let's see how we can separate this crystallization with the help of the boiling water or evaporation method only suitable to separate of this mixture, isn't it? So easy way we can separate this crystallization. Usually when we see in the seashores, they used to collect of this sea water from the sea and they used to keep in that paddy. After evaporate of the water, the rest of the materials or the rest of the minerals are the salt. So salt is like crystals, isn't it? So the crystals we can take and we use in our daily life, isn't it? So that is the way we can use of this crystallization methods. Now let's see distillation. So this is a very important and commonly in our daily life we see people are having mineral water and distilled water. They have a lot of the confused regarding to this too. What are these differences between distilled water and mineral water? Can you tell me children, when we have seen the rainwater, is it the rainwater is distilled water or mineral water? When we get from the clouds, from the sky, we used to feel, can you tell me, is it the water is distilled water or mineral water? Please guess that and tell me. Anyhow, you have to think and tell me later. But before that, I would like to say, rainwater we get from the clouds, that is a distilled water only. Why the water is distilled, let's we discuss. See children, here selectively boiling and condensation. When we were discussed about boiling and condensation, so these two are the very important. Boiling is nothing but naturally it has provided with the sun evaporating. When the water is heated by the sun's rays, they have to be evaporate. It has to go. After that gases forms changing into liquids. That is nothing but the condensation only. Am I clear? So this is the applicable for the distillation. So now let's see mineral water. We get from the soil, mixed of the soil, groundwater, we get pure minerals. Just I would like to remind you one question. What are the absorbed by the root? Isn't it? What are the absorbed by the root in the soil? So root absorb water and minerals. So we get minerals from the soil only. Am I clear? The same thing, even the water also mixed with the minerals and will drink that later stage, isn't it? But nowadays the water is mixture with the polluted remaining polluted things. So that's why we have to separate them. Let's see distillation process. The process of separating the component of from a liquid mixer. It is a liquid mixer by using selective boiling and condensation, isn't it? So we have to do here two things, two methods separating way. One is boiling, when we have a mixture of the water or impure water. When we boil, there is a, I will show you how the method of or the system is going. So we'll make a conical flask and the thermal heat with the help of this evaporating process. We'll see the next level. And at the same time, after cooling that water, slowly drop by drop, it has to come into the other funnel, isn't it? So this is about the distillation. We'll see. Am I clear, children? Have a nice day. Thank you.
Crystallization, the process of separating a pure substance in the form of crystals from its hot saturated solution by cooling is called crystallization. You might have observed your mother at home preparing sugar syrup for making sweets. Allow this sugar syrup to cool. Fine particles of sugar separate from the syrup. These fine particles are called crystals, which have some definite geometric shape and are formed by natural processes.
So if that's not clear, the water's coming in through here and running outside. There's an outer tube and an inner tube. The inner tube is connected to this apparatus. The outer tube just hooks up to the water. So we get cold water running along the top, and then you can see the liquid condensing on the inside of the inner tube that drips down, and that's your distilled separated water. This is a distillation apparatus. What we have here is we have a round bottom flask that has a mixture of water and food coloring in it, and that we're going to heat using a Bunsen burner. And then over here we have some tubing coming out of a sink that feeds in right here, and that brings cool water along here, and then it comes out through this tubing and back down the drain. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat up this liquid solution over here, and then as we do that we're also going to turn on the sink. And so now we have water flowing from here through up into here. And what's going to happen is as this gets warmer and warmer in here, this is going to start to turn more and more into steam. That steam is going to come up here, and when it hits this particular part of tubing here, we have water running along the outside of the tubing that's going to cool down that steam and cause it to condense into liquid water over here, and then eventually we'll see that dripping start to come out through here. So the separation is now going, and we have the water coming off of this because water is at a lower boiling point than the whatever the substance is that's used for the food coloring here. So we see the water coming over here in a much purer state than we have over here, and we can tell because this is colorless and this still has obviously the food coloring in it. So we're doing a separation here based on boiling points, and that's how this apparatus works. The trade-off with this is that it takes a lot of energy to boil the water, and so therefore this is not a good means to do a separation on an engineering large scale. You can note here that you've got the steam, which you can't see, but then you can see it condensing into the liquid along here and then dripping down through here. If we weren't running the water through here, then it would really limit how much of this would turn back into this rather than just escape as steam here, and also limit the